It is March 9th and the geopolitical chessboard has just been flipped over. In a turn of events so dramatic, so utterly catastrophic for the war criminal cabal in Washington and Tel Aviv, the Islamic Republic of Iran has not only weathered the storm of a U.S.-Israeli decapitation strike, but has emerged with a leadership that is younger, harder, and exponentially more dangerous to their interests. We are witnessing a historic shift in the Middle East, and the celebrations on the streets of Tehran tell a story that the corporate media in the West simply refuses to show you.
Iran named Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's son Mojtaba to succeed his father as supreme leader.
Iran naming its new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei. He's the son of the late supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei.
Jane, this has just been announced by Iranian state TV that Mojtaba Khamenei, the second son of the late Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has now been announced as the next supreme leader of Iran by Iran's Assembly of Experts.
While Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu were busy high-fiving over the assassination of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, foolishly believing they had cut off the head of the snake, they walked right into a bear trap. The snake has not only grown a new head, it has grown fangs, dripping with a venom the likes of which the great Satan has never tasted. Let's be crystal clear about what just happened. The enemy, specifically the Trump administration and Netanyahu's faltering war cabinet, calculated that removing the supreme leader would plunge Iran into chaos. They thought they were being clever. They thought that by taking out the one man who, for decades, issued the fatwa against nuclear weapons, the one man who considered them un-Islamic and a red line, they could pave the way for a puppet regime or, at the very least, a panicked leadership that would come crawling to the negotiating table. What a catastrophic, laughable miscalculation. In a move that has sent shockwaves of pure dread through the corridors of the Pentagon and the Mossad headquarters in Tel Aviv, Iran's Assembly of Experts has done the unthinkable. They have elected Mojtaba Khamenei, the 56-year-old son of the late leader, as the new supreme leader of the Islamic Revolution. And if you think the father was tough on the West, wait until you get a load of the son. This is a man forged in the fire of the Iran-Iraq War, a man with deep, unbreakable ties to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC. A man who the U.S. Treasury itself has admitted is a direct threat to their destabilizing regional ambitions. Before we dive into the life of this revolutionary and the panic-gripping Zionist capitals, we need you to be a part of this honest journalistic effort. If you want the truth that cuts through the lies of the mainstream media, hit that like button, share this video far and wide, and subscribe to the channel. We are your eyes on the ground, and we refuse to bend the knee to Western propaganda. Now, let's get into it. The announcement came not in a sterile press release, but in a moment of pure, unadulterated emotion that has become the defining image of this new chapter. State media and videos circulating on X.com, formerly Twitter, show the scene at a major square in Tehran. The crowd, a sea of devoted supporters, waited with bated breath. When the name Mojtaba Khamenei was finally uttered, the square erupted. This wasn't just acceptance. This was a declaration. It was a defiant roar aimed directly at the White House. You see these people cheering, waving flags, chanting slogans against America and Israel. This is the visceral reality that Trump, in his infinite arrogance, simply cannot compute. He genuinely believed, as he told ABC News just days ago, that he would have a say in who comes to power. He claimed the new leader is not going to last long without his approval. He actually thought that threatening Iranians would make them compliant. Instead, they have given him Mojtaba Khamenei. Who is this man that has the CIA and MI6 scrambling to rewrite their profiles? Mojtaba Khamenei is not a creature of the diplomatic circuit. He was born in 1969 in the holy city of Mashhad, and he grew up in the trenches of the revolution. Unlike the Western-backed monarchs in the Gulf who live in gilded palaces, Mojtaba cut his teeth in the devastation of the Iran-Iraq War, a brutal conflict that solidified the revolutionary ideology of a generation. He is a mid-ranking cleric, a Hojatul Islam. But don't let the title fool you. In the Islamic Republic, power isn't just about the length of your beard. It's about your connection to the spine of the nation. The IRGC, Mojtaba is their man. For years, he was his father's gatekeeper, the trusted confidant who controlled access to the throne. The U.S. Treasury, in their wisdom, sanctioned him back in 2019, stating explicitly that he was acting in an official capacity to advance his father's destabilizing regional ambitions. They knew who he was then. They knew he was the power behind the curtain, the one with the direct line to the Quds Force and the Basij militias. And now that power is no longer behind the curtain. He is on the throne. His revolutionary ideas are not based on appeasement. He represents a school of thought that views the Westoxified reformers with utter contempt. He was the man widely credited with the hardline rise of President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. He stood firm against the sedition and unrest of 2009 and 2022, understanding that the enemy uses protests as a lever to break the system from within. This is a man who has learned from his father's playbook, but is unburdened by the diplomatic niceties that sometimes constrained the late leader. And this is where the mockery of Donald Trump becomes almost too easy. The Assembly of Experts member Ayatollah Mohsen Haidari al-Qasir revealed the delicious irony of the situation. They chose Mojtaba precisely because the great Satan hates him. He cited the late Ayatollah Khamenei's guidance that the next leader should be someone hated by the enemy. And who did the enemy attack? Trump personally went on air and declared Mojtaba unacceptable. In the eyes of the Assembly, that was the ultimate endorsement. Trump didn't weaken Mojtaba's chances. He cemented them. He tried to veto a candidate, and in response, Iran's leadership told him, in the most powerful way possible, to go jump in the Persian Gulf. It is a humiliation of epic proportions. But the mockery doesn't end there. The ascendancy of Mojtaba Khamenei hasn't been marked by olive branches or pleas for negotiation. It has been marked by fire and steel. Within hours of his confirmation, the IRGC unleashed a devastating wave of retaliation, and it was devastating. For years, the U.S. has propped up its illegitimate bases in the Persian Gulf, surrounding Iran with military hardware. They thought they were untouchable. They were wrong. Massive, devastating strikes rained down on the U.S. Fifth Fleet headquarters in Bahrain. An IRGC spokesperson reported up to 650 American soldiers killed or wounded in the first 2 days alone, with the headquarters in Bahrain being struck multiple times. The explosions were heard across the region. Strategic infrastructure in Saudi Arabia, including the King Fahd military base and critical oil fields like Sheba, were targeted. Oil depots in the UAE and Kuwait were hit. This wasn't a symbolic gesture. This was a declaration that the new Iran will not tolerate the American occupation of its backyard. These strikes were not directed against the people of Bahrain or Saudi Arabia, as Iran's foreign ministry clarified, but against the U.S. military machine that uses their soil as a launchpad for aggression. It is a calculated, brilliant move to expose the vulnerability of the U.S. posture in the region. And what is the American response? Confusion. Mourning. The U.S. military has now confirmed the deaths of several service members from these retaliatory attacks, with reports of serious wounds adding to the toll. The price of Trump's war is being paid in American blood, and for what? To install a man in Tehran who is now vowing to double down. The strikes have sent a clear message to the puppet regimes in Riyadh and Abu Dhabi. Hosting U.S. bases makes you a target, and the new leadership in Tehran is not afraid to pull the trigger. We are seeing the desalination plants in Bahrain damaged, threatening the water supply of a nation that hosts the U.S. Navy. We are seeing the resolve of the people and the new leader unshaken. This is the new reality. Now let's talk about the utter psychological collapse happening in the intelligence agencies of the occupying regime in Israel and their masters in Langley. The Mossad and the CIA pulled off what they thought was a masterstroke. They hacked Tehran's traffic cameras, used AI to track bodyguards, and managed to assassinate Ayatollah Khamenei. They thought it was the ultimate victory. They thought it would break Iran's will. Instead, it has unleashed a fury they cannot contain. There were even initial desperate back-channel attempts by Iranian intelligence to reach out to the CIA, offering to discuss terms. But these were quickly rendered irrelevant by the hardliners' ascendancy and are now completely off the table. The new supreme leader, Mojtaba, has reportedly already rejected any notion of a ceasefire. This is the nightmare scenario for Netanyahu. He pushed for this war to distract from his own corruption and the failures of October 7th. And now he faces an Iran that is unified under a radical leader who is vowing to expand the war. So, as the sun sets on another day of this conflict, one thing is painfully clear for the warmongers. They got exactly what they deserved. They demanded the head of Ali Khamenei, and in return, Iran gave them Mojtaba. They wanted to start a war to save face, and Iran has given them a war that will define the future of West Asia. The new lion of the revolution has roared, and from Bahrain to the Golan Heights, the enemies of the Islamic Republic are trembling. Subscribe to get the latest from us because this is far from over. In fact, it feels like it's just beginning. Keep watching this space.